Okay, so weighing video. It's gonna happen. Okay, so we're gonna start with turtles first today. It's pretty late already in the day because I can't do this earlier, I guess. Actually, I was editing earlier, so we are doing the weighing, and we're going to start off with the infamous Lewis, the Western painted turtle, and we have fancy towels now instead of just shirts because I don't know, I'm feeling fancy today. I got a whole table set up, got this deal, and then Lewis needs to have this one. So I'll get Lewis out. So Lewis has been pretty mean lately. He was hurting on one of the female map turtles because he's a jerk. And he's not a jerk, he's awesome. I mean, look at him. He's literally the most beautiful turtle I have. And he's super cool, and I love him to death. He's pretty great. So here, I'm going to put him into here. Now, if you're wondering why, and I have to explain this every time, because Lewis is crazy, as you can see, and there's air holes, and I can't get a weight on him unless I have this. So he's about 935. I'm going to flip him over just for a second, just kidding. Yep, 935. So that is all right. It's not great, but it's fine, I guess. He lost weight, which isn't good. I want him to be at 10 ounces. So this is in ounces. Right now we're going to go with ounces and inches. And then that. Next up is Norman, and luckily for us, he's right here. So, haha, surprise attack. So this is the 20-plus-year-old red-eared slider Norman. He's a beast. Well, not really. He's not the biggest turtle, but he's very feisty, and he's not very nice at all. He's a little bit smaller, but that's not really an issue for him. Okay, so he's 2776, and he was 2790 before, so there's not really, I mean, it's fine. Their weights will fluctuate periodically and everything. The goal is with weighing them is after so many years, I can see if there's a correlation between months and weights, because I believe there probably is. I just don't know yet because I just haven't kept these guys for long enough. They're all about the same inches wise every single time, like lengthwise they're about the same, so I don't really say. It's not overly important, honestly. So next up we have Phoebe, who's in the other side of the tank with Norman, and she's a very large red-eared slider, probably not as old as Norman, but she is a female. As you can see, she's a beast for sure, quite large, and just put her here. She's 38, 34, which is, or 38, yeah, 38, 34, which is like right where she's been for the last 2 months. So she's doing all right. I am going to get a caliper at some point to properly measure them. And when I get a caliper, that's probably when I'll switch over to the metric system. But because I don't have a caliper, I can't measure them properly, but I'm still going to measure them because it'll be consistent with what I'm doing, if that makes any sense. Next up, we have Beatrice. I did not weigh her last month, or I did weigh her. I always weigh her, but I didn't weigh her on camera. And there's a video. There will be a video. I don't know if it's out or whatever. But she hasn't been eating like she should be. So that's kind of, her weight's not real good. Let's see. It's 11:18, so she lost weight again, which makes sense. So I think she's kind of going into brumation, and that's concerning to me, and I don't really want her to do that, so I'm trying to get her back to a point where she will eat properly, so that's kind of what I'm going for with her. So now we're going to have the two red-eared sliders, Ruby and Marcus. I did have 3, I rehomed 1. But here we have Ruby, because Marcus is not towards the surface at the moment. We'll put her on here. And she's 4.51, which is crazy. It's insane how fast these guys grow. Last month she was 3.81 ounces, so she's just grown a ton, because that's what red-eared sliders do until they get to the size of Norman and Phoebe over there, and they're just massive all the time. 3 and 13/16, so not quite 4 inches. Okay, so here we have Marcus, because I rehomed Adam, and wow, his colors are really amazing, actually. So Adam had really cool underbelly colors, so plastron coloration was really amazing, but just compared to Ruby, whose colors are very like the general red-eared slider look, like this is pretty amazing. Look at that. I'm not overly into colors or anything, but it's so dark, which is really neat. And he has like an irregular stoop. And wow, okay, wow, okay. So Marcus actually outgrew Ruby. 483. So Ruby was bigger than both of them originally. And this month he outgrew her, which is pretty amazing. And this one is just over 4 inches. Okay, so next up is Blacklip and Rebecca. And these are the map turtles. If you were wondering, I'm currently going through the process of getting the permits to like properly house native turtles. So this is a native Washita map turtle, as well as all the red-eared sliders are technically native species. So I am going through that. I have to buy pit tags, and it's really hard to find how to buy pit tags, and I'll talk about it in a separate video once I've done everything. But I need to buy pit tags, and then they'll come look at everybody and be like, yeah, you're good. And then I will get the proper permits. So I didn't realize I needed the permits when I was given the turtles, because the person who gave them to me didn't, well, they didn't know. At least I hope they didn't know, because if they did know, that would be that'd be real rude. I don't have the permits to own them, but I'm in the process of doing that, and I've told the wildlife officer and everything, like he knows what's going on, and he seems perfectly fine with it. So there's that. These guys are pretty skittish. Okay, 2194, and that is the biggest she's ever been. So she's doing real good. And these guys they've gotten a lot more comfortable with eating and everything, and they really have been doing super well. And I'm assuming that's this turtle, yeah, because the other one, so this is Blacklip. Rebecca is a whole lot bigger, so, I mean, not a whole lot, but they're both adult female Washita map turtles. So, and this one's always been smaller. Okay, so here we have Rebecca, and as I said, she's a lot bigger. And these are really cool turtles. I really like them. I'm excited to have them. They're very interesting. And I hope once I get my permit, I'm going to look into getting a male. And that is trying to find somebody who wants to give me a male. So probably won't happen, but it would be nice. I'm sure. I always assume there's somebody out there who wants to get rid of a certain type of turtle. So I'm the one that will take it in. Her shell's looking all right. I don't know. Both of their shells have always kind of looked not great. I wouldn't call this shell rot because it's hard and it's not really an issue, but it's definitely weird looking and abnormal. Your shell really shouldn't look like that, but it's never really been an issue, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. She went up a ton. Okay, so she's 2765, which is wild, because before she was 2561. And she's always been 25, so she's just like the biggest ever. So that's really interesting. Actually, that's kind of concerning. I wonder if she has eggs, and even if she doesn't have fertile eggs from Lewis, she could just have eggs in general. So I'm not exactly sure what I can do with that right now, but in the future she'll be going out in a pond, like a proper pond. So here we have Susan. Susan is the biggest turtle I own. She is a female yellow-bellied slider, and she is so big. Like, she's just a very, 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 very large turtle here. So there we have 4370, I believe. Yeah, 4370. And she just keeps on growing. She just gets bigger and bigger. So last month she was 4257. And when I originally got her a couple months ago, she was 33. So she's just been growing and growing. She's literally grown so much since I've gotten her, which is insane. I don't know why. I definitely wouldn't say I overfeed my turtles. I feed them once every other day, and I feed her a lot of dubia roaches just because she's there and she'll take them, like so many at a time, which is insane. And I wouldn't say I overfeed her though, because I generally only feed her the dubia roaches as like a replacement meal for pellets and whatnot. So she's really quite a large turtle. So now that we have the largest turtle, now we can have the smallest turtle that I own, which we'll probably get to about the same size someday. That is the baby red-eared slider, and it's in a 10-gallon right now, and it's just the tiniest little thing, as you can see here. So, 0.71 ounces. So a lot smaller. Probably the smallest turtle I've ever worked with, honestly. Just a little bit bigger. Let's say 2 and 1/16 inches. After that, we just have the lizards. So that entails the 5 crust geckos, and that's right, I said 5 because we have babies now, and we get to deal with the babies, which will be fun. And then we have 1 leopard gecko and 1 bearded dragon at the end. Okay, so here we have the babies, and I have some foodstuffs here, and I will probably have to move them around a bit. So here they're right out here. You can see them. And they pooped, so I gotta get out their bedding. And pretty soon, I really want to weigh them, because at a certain point, when they're about 0.21 ounces, I'm going to feel comfortable in moving them into a 5-gallon, a bioactive 5-gallon, because that's how big Teddy was when I moved her in, and Teddy's the mother. Now, the problem is trying to get onto this. Now, I weighed Chris, like, right after he was born, so I know that he was about 0.10 ounces. And gee whiz, no way. This has to be... Oh, wait, that makes sense. Okay. I gotta even it out. I was like, what the heck? There's no way. So now, let's try to get on here. And just stay there for a second. Okay, so it says 0.07, which would be the same, and I doubt that. That kind of seems weird to me. I feel like they've grown a lot since they were born. But maybe that's just because I've been around them a lot. I'm not entirely sure. So it's just the same again. Which is alright. So, in general, they're about 0.07 ounces when they're born, and 2 grams, if you wanted to know. So it should be decently easy to figure out what their lengths are, if I can get them off me. Let's see, I know he was 3 inches when he was born, and now I'd say about 3.5, or maybe 3 1/4. So I could be a little bit off on what his original weight was, or original length. I don't know that he grew, a full 1/4 of an inch. That's quite a lot, but I just know that that's what he is now. Yeah, probably 3 1/4 as well. So very similar. I have a feeling that the one that eats more is going to grow faster. I don't know where I have that crazy idea, but I think that is going to be the case, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So now I'm going to get out Darwin, and Darwin's my adult female, and she's been doing pretty well, I think. I think she might have eggs. I'm not entirely sure, but we're actually probably going to find out, because generally I can tell by whatever her weight is, but from the looks of her stomach, I would say she has eggs. Here she is, very large female. I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and feed her, and then I will get to weighing her. It's crazy holding her. She seems like the biggest animal ever after holding those, interacting with those little guys. Darwin, come on, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing? You step off? Alright? Come on. Oh. She's not going to let go of my finger there. It's being a little bit awkward. She wants to get down her food, if that's what she's going for. I did it again. She's just in the weirdest pose ever. What are you thinking? I don't know what she's doing. So you need to get that. You need to clean off your lip. You gotta see this view. It's the weirdest. What is she doing? So they put their head up when they're eating, like this. But she just has her head up. And trying to get it more on her lips so she can lick it. There you go. Come on, girl. You gotta get off because I made a mistake. There you go. Now you're being active. This makes more sense. Okay, now get on to the plate. Jeez, you're a giant. Just from how thick she is right now, I'm pretty positive she has eggs, but I haven't seen her digging, so I don't know. I'd have to check. I don't know when she laid her eggs last. Wow, yeah, she is big. That is an unprecedented weight for her, which is something to say. So the closest she's ever been is 212, and she wasn't 212 last month, but the month before. And now she's 215. So I also interact with Teddy and Linus a lot, which are about half the size of Darwin. And Teddy's a female. She's an adult female. She's been laying eggs. She's the mother of the babies. I'm going to go ahead and weigh her. I'm not too worried about these two being around each other. They're both female. Really shouldn't be an issue. If I had Linus out, that'd be an issue. Linus is pretty... he's pretty prone to mating. Let's just say that. 134. Sounds like a very normal Teddy weight. And the last time I weighed her, she was actually 116, which is not a normal Teddy weight. That's because I weighed her right after she laid eggs. So she laid eggs throughout this month. So I'd imagine both of these guys are going to lay eggs throughout the month. It's kind of where I'm at. Definitely Darwin. There's no way. She has to be crazy rabid. So now I'm going to get out Linus. So this is Linus. He's the father, as I stated before. Insanely pretty animal. He doesn't eat real well. And I'm assuming this is what the unnamed baby will look like. I think he's going to look just like Linus. Or at least very similar. But they kind of both have the same base color as Teddy. More of like a... Okay, I'm colorblind, so bear with me. It's like a lighter, darker color. I don't know. This one's darker, but it's like lighter at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. So I've fed him a decent amount. He wants to crawl away. I'm going to try to get him on this. And just set him here. It's about 113. And that's what he was last month. So that's fine. That's kind of annoying because he's been going up a little bit every month. But now he's just kind of the same. While Linus isn't super big. Like he's kind of thin, honestly, for a gecko. For a crested gecko, but he's super long, which is nice because I think that's reflected with the babies. They have real nice long tails. That's not something you really see in Darwin, and it's definitely not something that you see in Teddy. Okay, we're at the second to last. This is Elizabeth. I had to really mess with her to get her out. She's healthy, except the fact that she's super, super fat for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, and I'm actually going to try to touch her a little bit. I don't feel anything hard, so that's kind of the worry. If you look at her from the underside, it's generally pretty obvious that she doesn't have any dark spots, and it doesn't feel like eggs, as far as I know. I don't know what eggs feel like in leopard geckos, but it's been like this for months. So if you're wondering why she's so fat looking, I don't know, but she's healthy, she eats well, and she does all the things correctly. All of her other parts are proportional. It's just not that, and I don't understand why. But her weight is actually a little bit lower, but I didn't take the chance to feed her before I did this. She's at about 303, which is what she was last month, so that is fine. Unfortunate thing about Richard is that he's diurnal, and that's not necessarily unfortunate, but just as far as weighing goes, I normally weigh at night, and he's generally not super awake, but right now he actually seems alright. He's in the living room here, and he's about 1869, which is weird, because I would think he'd be bigger. I don't know. He was bigger last month, I think, but which is strange. I don't know. He ate really well for me the other day. And he's been doing super well, and he's super active, and he is very cool. So I'll go ahead and write that down. It's at 18 3/4. That's my guess. This video was like 75 minutes, and I cut it down to 20 minutes, so you're welcome. Like the video, comment, and I'll read it and respond eventually. And then subscribe for more content and weighing videos periodically.
that I get out as I film. So have a great day.